in this video I'll be showing you how to make one of my dried flower crowns using the foliage that comes in one of my dried flower crown kits. Everything will be there, from the copper headband to the paper wrapped wire, and hopefully foliage too. So I'm going to be keeping mine quite simple, mostly because it's the end of the season and I'm pretty much out of flowers. So I'm going to be using some really beautiful grass seed heads and some feverfew. And I think I've got some poppy seed heads as well. So first off, you get your copper band and you get your wire and you just poke it through the little eyelet and just wrap it round a few times, and that will secure the paper wire in place. Blue, come. So once your wire is attached to the band, you can just go ahead and start arranging your foliage so that it looks like this. Yours should all be cut to length, but I call these buttonholes, as in like the ones that you get when you're at a wedding. So I'll just arrange little buttonholes like that, and then your first step is literally just to lay it on the wire and wrap it round. Because this is the first one, I would just go around a couple of times, and then all you're doing from here is just layering it up. I don't need to make my stems too short either, because they will just all add to the thickness of the headband. So here's some feverfew and a bit of, I think it's Queen Anne's lace. So just like that, and you're just layering it. So that's where your first buttonhole ends, and you just tuck it on top of the one in front, like that. At this end, it's mostly going to be tucked in your hair, so don't use the good stuff. Use just like the things that you're not so bothered whether they get seen or not. Save the things like the thistles for at the front of your crown. Like, I wouldn't waste a really good poppy seed here because it would just end up being hidden by my hair. So we just keep going along now, adding it in front, and make sure to keep wrapping the wire in the same direction. Keep an eye as well on the evenness of your layering, so you don't put a small bunch and then a big bunch, small bunch and a big bunch, because you'll end up with a headband that's really heavy to one side, or even end up running out of foliage. I should have put enough in for you though. I really like these little grasses, they're so soft. I also tend to stick to a pattern, a little bit like how I do with my winter wreaths. So I'll go grass, flower, or... Oh, they smell so good. Or do like 2 flower, 2 grass, 2 flower, 2 grass. It's up to you really. Every crown always turns out completely different. I'm still just layering it up, as you can see. And that's sort of what the back of it looks like. Relatively even. Quite tight, but not so tight that you're going to pop the heads off the grass. These have all been dried for a really long time, so you shouldn't have to worry about... Can hear some baby birds over there. Nice. You shouldn't have to worry about shrinkage. Now this bit here is sort of the front of your your crown. So maybe this is where you could start adding the more interesting things. So I'm going to pop a little poppy seed head. You should have some larch cones, they're really beautiful. Now these poppy seed heads can be quite brittle, so just be gentle and maybe just focus on giving it a couple of wraps rather than one tight one. It's that joint there that's quite brittle. The larch cones are already set on wire, so all you have to do is just lay the wire as you would, as if it was its stem. So these flowers are picked at my parents' house, and it's called feverfew, and it's used medicinally for quite a few things, but I use it in a tea to get rid of bad headaches. I like using medicinal herbs in the crowns, like this mugwort here. Most of our medicinal herbs have got folklore and superstitions around them, usually in quite a positive way. So I quite like that on the crowns. So that is the middle of my crown. So I'm going to put a really big poppy seed there as like a centerpiece. And then you've got the rule of, well, I call it the rule of 3, but that's because I use 3s quite regularly. So if I was just to leave the 2 poppies on like that, it would look a little bit bizarre. But when you're designing things like this, it's always best to keep it with odd numbers. So I will put another little bit of grass and feverfew there, and then add another poppy seed. I'm saying like that like I have one in my basket, and I've just realised I don't. So I won't be doing that. I'll have to add one at a later date. You've got much more variety in your kits as well, so yours is going to look a little bit more interesting than mine. Although I really am enjoying these keys as well. You can break them off into little florets. So you keep going down until you reach the end. And don't worry about the broomstick sticking out, just cut that off. Keep going, keep going. And whilst you're creating it, go and have a look in the mirror and just hold it up and see where everything's laying. See if it looks quite even. See, I think I've actually got a little bit thicker up this end, so I might just unwrap it and just pull it down a little bit. Spread it out so it's a bit more even. Tighten that up. It is, that can happen where it gets a bit uneven, but if you just keep looking at it, and I always find that the side that's away from me is the side that's the more beautiful. So once you've got to the end, I think I've got a couple more bunches before I'm there. I'm just speeding up now because my camera battery is low and there's no solar to charge it, so we gotta go, go, go. Oh, that smells so nice. Right, so I'm at the end. Cut off that last bit of grass, and then all you're doing, wrap it around a couple of times and then poke it back through the eyelet. Pull it through, not all the way, and then just make a knot. It's a bit of a funny one to make a knot with wire, but you just sort of have to tease it and then pull it through. There we go. And then just go through a couple more times. Make sure you don't go through so many times though that the hole isn't big enough for you to now put your ribbon through. There we go. I've already got a crown on, but you get the idea. And then just cut any excess wire off and tuck it in so it's not going to jab you in the head. And there you've got a beautiful crown. So the final bit is you take your ribbon, you poke it through the eyelet, and you just tie a little knot like that. And do the same for the other side, and that's your crown finished. If you notice that it's twisted a little bit around the actual frame, you can sort of gently push it so that it's straight, like that. But a massive thanks for buying one of my kits. I hope you've enjoyed it, and please don't forget to send me photos of you wearing it wherever it is that you're going. Thanks!